Hey, this is Sean, and welcome to Better Assholes. You know, if you're like me, you probably enjoyed some time over the holidays with your family watching movies, right? Watching movies, TV shows, Christmas. Sometimes it's gaudy, right? Gaudy, tacky, lame, whatever you want to call it. I'm not a big fan of Christmas movies. I think maybe the only kind of interesting one that we've added this year was the kids are old enough to watch Mr. Hanky the Christmas Pooh on South Park. So that was kind of fun. But generally, the wife likes a lot of old school Christmas movies. Growing up, the kids just watched lots of Christmas movies. Um, and now it's kind of funny because you notice all the traditional Christmas movies are very hard to find. You have to find them across 10 different services. You have to find them on Netflix, on Disney, on Crave, on Hulu, on whatever, right? Like Roku TV and this and that. So you watch one show here, another show here, another show here, another show here. There's a whole list of shows that everybody wants to watch, but they don't get to watch them because they're so scattered. And then to make it even more difficult, a lot of the shows that you want to watch, right, that are the older shows, are all kind of like paywalled. So you could get them on some services, but you may have to pay like extra. You could get on Prime, but you have to subscribe to the Prime like TV package that has that one show because of the Christmas bundle or whatever, right? So it's very, very difficult. And so we went from, watching the stuff on DVD. There was a time where, it was on TV, and then you went to DVD because it's more convenient, and then you were streaming it. And then now you're back to trying to see if you could find your old DVDs because you can't actually find anything on the streaming services. So it's a crazy bit of a loop. And listen, I'm using Christmas as an example because we just passed it. Everybody's noticed this. Hey, especially people with little kids. Hey, I want my kids to watch, Snoopy or whatever, Mickey Mouse's Christmas and whatever, right? Like, but it doesn't exist. You have to subscribe to Disney Plus, and hopefully, you have the right package and you're able to see it, right? Because I'm sure they found a way to, maybe there's a Christmas package on the side. Ridiculous. So, the whole purpose of this episode really, and we're not really, you know, talking about the Christmas per se, but it's how it's positioned now, how Netflix position, how streaming's positioned. Streaming was a great way for you to have access to an instant library, like the Columbia House of, uh, movies, and you don't have to worry about it. When Netflix first started, and I don't know how many people remember this, you used to order DVDs. So Netflix was you'd go online. I think they had we used to get something in the mail. I think they have their own ordering platform. They may have had uh, like something they sent you and you mail it back to them. But anyways, they sent you a DVD. You basically watched it. You had like a week, and then you had to send it back, and then you'd be able to rent another one. So it's like Blockbuster, but through the mail. And then when streaming came, it was a whole different story. What made Netflix unique at the time? It was one of the only real solid streaming services. And what solidified them as a leader was having all the movies that you're used to watching. So they had all the Eddie Murphy comedies. They had all those weird, quirky horror movies, B-rated horror genres. They had the Disney movies. They had the Marvel movies. They had, like, you name it. Everything was on Netflix. But what was great was that these were older movies. They were all the movies up to that time and the movies that were just coming out. So before a movie would come out in theater, it would come out on DVD and Blu-ray, And then maybe a few months later, it would come out in Netflix. And Netflix had different regions. So it was very common for you not to be able to watch good, brand new released American movies in Canada or elsewhere until they were released and gone through the box office process in that country. So a lot of people use VPNs for Netflix and whatever. But the real, I guess the real great thing about Netflix at the time was just, as I said, being able to watch all those movies. If I want to watch Eddie Murphy Delirious, it was there. Eddie Murphy Raw, it was there. If I wanted to watch, say, the first, whatever movie, uh, it was available. Scarface, for instance, available. Casino available. You could watch these movies. It was great. Terminator 2, you could watch these movies. And slowly, they added, newer, interesting movies. You got more of these B-rated movies where they weren't really, it was like there was a little while there, Netflix turned into kind of a shitty movie service where you didn't really get the latest and greatest releases. You didn't get anything, big American box office. You were getting the shit that people were making, literally in their basement, right? So it sucked for a while there. And so Netflix went through that period. And then they started up their own kind of studios and production. And basically, from then till now, what they're doing is they buy all these shitty scripts and shitty productions and whatever, right? A lot of just, basically it's almost like script farming. So basically, they have a lot of people that basically they purchase or they review or they acquire a partner. They have different ways of working with script writers and acquiring scripts and producing them. And so they found it easier to actually just make a bunch of low budget movies that are low budget knockoffs of other existing movies. So there was a time where you had a whole bunch of knockoff, like anything that you saw that you liked Terminator. Well, there was a Terminator knockoff. And wow, they were bad. And so that period lasted a few years where you basically started not seeing, say, Fast and Furious, but you saw Fast and Faster or Furious Racers or whatever it was called. That created a bit of a backlash. It created a lot of people to drop that service. There was a time where Netflix was raising the price. They had less content. It wasn't as good. They started pulling a lot of that content people wanted to see. People wanted to see, Marvel movies. And when Disney acquired Marvel, slowly they start pulling everything to the newly released Disney Plus. So as everything started expiring, all the licensing that different services started expiring, all these shows and movies were going to different platforms. And this really made Netflix suck, made everything suck because, you know, regardless whether I join Prime or Netflix or Crave or whatnot, I think everybody at the end of the day wants all the same content, but they want to pick their provider, right? So it's like having a pizza. You can go to Pizza Hut, you can go to pizza this, pizza that, whatever pizza place, Little John's, Papa John's, whatever it's called, Little Caesars, you could get a pepperoni pizza at 10 different places because there's no licensing and copyrights and controls for pizza or pepperonis or pepperoni pizza. So therefore, there's the freedom. And with locking down content like how they do now, it doesn't provide you any freedom. It makes you have to subscribe to Disney, subscribe to Netflix, subscribe to Apple TV when you should only have to subscribe to one and have access to all your content. There should be cross licensing so that, sure, maybe it's kind of anti competitive, but it's better for the for the customer, for the consumer. If I like the customer service from Netflix over Prime, I should be able to sign up for Netflix and get my Netflix service and everything I want to watch the same as if I had Prime, right? Like, I mean, it's just it's common sense. It's just common sense, and this is how we are nowadays. So now we're paying double and triple and whatever for, essentially garbage, and all the services now are churning out garbage scripts made by garbage writers, made by AI. There's actually people that wake up every day and they grab a coffee, they go over to Starbucks and they grab a coffee and they sit there with the laptops and they just continually write garbage scripts. People actually take existing scripts. There's databases and services, so you could get existing scripts for movies 10 years ago, 20 years ago. I could take a movie from the 40s, pop in an AI and say, hey, make this something that will make sense in the 2024. And that would happen. AI or whatever would give me a brand new script. I turn over Netflix. Netflix says, okay, wow, that's great. Here you go. Here's $100,000. Because, honestly, these guys are making millions. These are guys selling scripts for $1,000, $2,000, whatever, right? To get past your Coke habit or your donut habit or whatever, sex habit, whatever, addiction you have. And they take that money and continue to just write the crappy script. So this is why pretty much everything on Netflix is practically, a B-rated garbage script, film adaptation from whatever, Turkey and China and, Korea, whatever. It's just all garbage. Indian, this is, they're actually buying just Bollywood scripts and turning them into Western scripts. It's crazy at this point. So Netflix has been kind of a soft spot in a lot of people's hearts for being that streaming service, but the content has been garbage. Now, this is 2025. So here's a change. Let's skip on to something different. Here's what's happening now. Netflix has noticed this customer revolt. They know that we are no longer happy with what's going on. It's evident, right? They're losing subscribers. More people are sharing. People are watching a series, canceling, going to Prime, watching a series, canceling, going to Apple TV, watching series, canceling. And this is a trend that keeps on growing. Every time they sign something, create a new program, sign some new whatever movie or star or series or whatever, you're just going to watch it, you're going to binge watch it, you're going to get, the most for your money, whether it's a commercial package, you're going to watch on your phone to make it cheaper, you're going to watch it from a friend's computer, you're going to stream it, whatever the case, and that's it, right? Cancel the service and move on. So Netflix is smart, as you see with WWE, as you've seen with, I guess they had New Year's Eve football game, and they're doing hockey or baseball or whatever. I think Prime's doing hockey. So all the services now are getting smarter, and they're knowing that they can't compete with YouTube for content, because if you look at YouTube, YouTube is now king of content. Why? It's probably the reason that you're watching or listening to this video. And that is because you know that whatever you're watching on Netflix is going to be garbage. You know the plot. You've seen it before. You don't know the actors, or you know the actors. You don't care. They're crappy. Do you want to watch another Rock movie? Another movie with, Kevin Hart? Like, I mean, really, Jack Black, another movie? You want to see the same people doing the same things over again? Predictable scripts, crappy screenwriting, short run times. It's all garbage. So the only way to get through that is get back to letting other people create content, because that's what other people are good at. Content creators tend to be a lot better than, just one company and a few people deciding what needs to be done and calling shots over production, signing, licensing, or whatever. Because, it is the same shit and nobody's falling for it. So now we're moving into an age where you're going to see Netflix and Prime and whoever wants to survive, they're going to have to start signing live acts, live people. They're going to have to start signing, you know, uh, things, content that people want. They have to buy content people want. People want created content. People want to see stuff that usually you see on YouTube, right? Listen, you want to see F1, Formula One, mark my word, Formula One will head to Netflix. Mark my word, because F1 TV, at this point, it makes more sense. They make a fortune off of this, but you know what? Netflix would expand F1 big time. And they have so many series, and they could do it so much better that it would increase the F1 audience. Huge. So I think soon you're going to see some of the biggest sports, some of the most profitable sports and sports entertainment end up at Netflix. If streaming wants to survive and take over, this is what they're going to have to do. And you're going to see it. You're going to see people move into this live streaming. Then you're going to see consolidation. And we're going to be back to having a few companies that end up doing this type of media, live, big global live streaming companies. So you're going to see back into, that level of things, back into the, cable companies, ABC, NBC, big cable companies of the 90s. That's what you're going to see from the streaming companies. And it's going to be back down to just a few. Would Prime still survive? Who knows? Apple TV still survive? Who knows? If Apple TV was smart, they would sell. And I think Netflix would be perfect to buy Apple TV, right? Consolidate some of these videos, video streaming services, get everything back to being consumer friendly. And I think we have something good. But right now, this sucks. Bad videos, bad streaming, bad everything. It sucks. Let's get back to 2025 planning for what's coming ahead. And that is streaming all the big shit on Netflix. It is coming, guys. Everything is going to be on Netflix. We're going to have another video about this. But until then, this is Sean, and we're at Better Assholes. Anyways, have a great night, and until next time.